How to change oil on a 2010 Honda Accord.
So first thing you want to do is pop open your hood, pull the lever, pop the hood open.
And here I'm showing the ramps that I'm using. They're called Rhino ramps from AutoZone. I think they're like 60 bucks. Easy to use. Just push them up to the tire and make sure it's centered and drive up.
You'll feel it. It's got like a little dent. There you go. You see how it's like, because like right here, there's like a little hump, and then you got a stopping wall right there. To get the latch, you got, I don't know if you can see it, right there. You put your hood latch in the hole right here where the arrow is. Make sure it's not going to fall out and smack you in the head. And then this is where the oil goes in. You see it says 5W20. That's the weight of the engine oil that you need. This is your dipstick. This is what you do to check the oil level. When you get yourself an oil pan, this one can hold up to 16 quarts. I forget how much it costs, but I got it from AutoZone as well. Steel pan, I'll just use it as a backup in case oil spills. It doesn't get all over my concrete driveway, but that's good. And then you need a funnel, and then your oil and filter.
These are the sockets I'm using. Got them from Harbor Freight. I think they're like 13 bucks per rack. Goes from like 10 to 19. Very useful. The long sockets are 6-point, and the shallow ones are 12-point.
And then of course I got a good old snap-on 3/8 ratchet. This is about a 12-inch ratchet, I guess you could say. 10-inch, I don't know. Either way, this is a standard nice ratchet. These things are not cheap either. But, you know, I love my snap-on. Ratchets are the greatest. Sockets, you can get Harbor Freight sockets all day. They'll last forever. But ratchets, you never want to cheap out on the ratchet. You know what I mean? Let's get under there. So the oil drain plug, the oil pan. This is the oil pan, and that's the drain plug. I think it's a 15 or 17 millimeter, and that's your oil filter. Seventeen millimeter. Let's put that on there. Oh yeah, that's perfect. You don't want no play. Put that on. All right, and then you want to put it on off. Make sure you're on off. All right, there you go. And it shouldn't be too tight. If it is, just be careful. There you go. Alright, see, that's all it takes, because it's aluminum. You just break it once and it's already loose. Alright, since we got the drain plug cracked loose, you see that's loose. There's a crush washer in there. I'm gonna pull the pan under here so it can kind of like go right into the pan. You know, give yourself some space, because the oil tends to shoot out, and then as it gets weak, it'll come down slow. But by the time it gets slow, it'll be right here. But you want it to have space to shoot out so it's not spilling all out of the pan. And you want to just loosen up your drain plug. Okay, so you want to loosen up the drain plug, and like just just keep spinning until you feel like the threads are like all the way out, and then you can just pull it right out. You know, you get a little bit of oil in your fingers, so what? It happens. That's why you always keep a rag with you. Wipe your hand on it, you know, and you just let that oil drain down until you know, until you see it basically nothing but drips. It looks good though, you know, and you want to make sure you're not stripping the size of the hex of the head of the bolt. You know, if it's stripped, just get a new drain plug. They're only like 10-15 bucks maybe. So now what I like to do before I change the oil filter, I just like to pop the drain plug back on. You see there's barely any oil coming out. It's just dripping. That's because, you know, it's gonna be a constant drip for like an hour if you don't feel like waiting for it. As long as the main stream of oil is out, you're good. You're getting all 4 quarts out of it. You know, I like to put the drain plug on now before I forget, because a lot of people forget to put it on or tighten it, and then it falls out while they're down the road and you lose your engine. So just to put it down, I just like to give it a little snug, like you see where it stops right here, because it's good. I'll probably go like a eighth of a turn for oil filters. So what you want to do is just grab it, try to loosen it. You see how it's moving a little bit. There you go, just loosen it a little bit. You're gonna loosen that filter, or you can turn it by hand. And once you get to that point, that's when it'll start leaking oil on you. Just be careful, because the teeth can rip through it too and leak. All right, that's loose right there. So what I'll do is I'll bring my pan back under. Bring the pan back under and just like spin it a couple times so you see some oil come out. There you go. I like to let the oil just drip a little bit so you don't make too much of a mess. And then you know, just let's just take this out. Alright, you want to let the pan or the oil filter just drain in the pan, and let that happen right there. That the O-ring came off with the filter. You see that? It did. You see the O-ring, little black O-ring right here sticking out more? That's off. Sometimes they stick onto the engine, which will move this out the way. Oh shit. Sometimes they stick on the engine. Oh, I missed my phone. Oh, I did get it. Oh no. Alright, so I'll wipe this down so you can see it. Right there. So you don't want the gasket to still be on there. You want this to be shiny. Sometimes they get stuck on there, and then when you put your new filter on it, it'll be double gasket, 2 of them, because your new filter comes with a gasket. I'll show you right now. I can get it out the box. You see the new filter has a new rubber gasket, that little red line on this black O-ring right here. You have a new gasket, so if you get the old one stuck on there, sometimes it'll double up and then it'll leak oil. Wet this O-ring a little bit so it can, you know, get a good seal and the O-ring doesn't slip out. You can just use a little bit of whatever you can get off the pan, I guess. You don't need a lot. You just want to make it, like, you know, not dry. Like, you see how it's dry, and then I'm wetting it up right here. That's all you need. You don't need to go crazy and put oil all over it. As long as it's somewhat slippery and it's not going to grip and pinch, and then, because sometimes if they're dry and you dry that off by cleaning it, you'll get a little more oil on here. It'll pinch and then peel off, like the O-ring will fall out. So let's do that. Now we put the oil filter on. You see that hole that threads onto that pin right there. And some people say you can just hand tighten this. I don't know the torque spec. I usually just get a little crank. You know, you want to try to like turn that thing on there. So you want to try to like crank this down by hand. If not, try to use a filter wrench. But the wrench that I got, like I said, I got the teeth, so I don't want to do too much. But you see, you use a rag and turn it a couple times until you can't turn it no more. And that should be good. So make sure you let your oil filter drain out, the old one, the oil. What I like to do is pull out the dipstick a little bit, so when you're putting your oil in, you can see where it goes. You got an O-ring in here as well. Want to make sure your O-ring is decent. I mean, it's hard to tell which one's the O-ring, but it looks good. You know, this is what it should look like. And then, you know, that's good. I'll just leave this right here so I don't forget that I have it right there. Some people forget to put that on. Alright, so you see that? You want to wipe it out. Wipe your funnel out. You don't want to put sand in your engine. And get inside the hole that it comes out. And then in here, I want to wipe that down too. You see the difference? You want your funnel to be nice and clean. You don't want it dirty with sand. So now you got a real clean funnel, and there you go. All right, and then you put that in there like so, and then you can pour your oil now. All right, so let's get our oil. Let's open this up. Flag's about to do this. All right, and then I just want to poke a hole in it. I guess wherever you got, I just Yeah. Alright, there you go. Now, I gotta look up how many quarts go in here. I believe it's only 4 quarts, 4 point something quarts. I'll Google it and then we'll pour it in. So this thing also has, this is a 5-quart jug. I get it because you get, for Hondas you end up with a little extra. You see the 4 stops right there. And then you got like a little extra oil above that. That's 4 quarts from the bottom to that 4 and then a little extra. So the extra is good for like when you gotta top off your oil. Because these cars burn about a quart of oil a month. It's coming out real quick because it's hot today. It's like 92 degrees. New Jersey in August. August what, 3rd I think today is? 2020. Crazy old pandemic year. Anyway, liquid gold. You pour about, 80% of this. And then you check where your quart level's at. Actually, let me stop now and check it. See, so I poured it and it's down to about 2 quarts. So I'll pour a little bit more and when I'm down to the 1 and then we'll check the level and then we'll see how much we think we need. I think it's a little over 4 quarts, like 4.2, I could be wrong. Alright, let's check, I might have poured too much. Actually, we're right near the 1. So let's put the cap on it for now and then we'll wipe the dipstick down and double check the level. Grab your rag. Put the foam down right here and pull the dipstick out. So what you want to do is you want to wipe it. I'm trying to show you wiping it. Just wipe the dipstick down. Wipe the tip down, and then so where you want your oil level to be is between the 2 holes. I'm trying to. Anyway, so right there, between these 2 holes, this is the bottom, and it's about 1 full quart, I believe, to get up to here. Sometimes it's 2 quarts, but this is the bottom, and then this is where you want your oil. You don't want your oil being all the way up here above the 2nd hole, because basically when it goes down into the engine, you're reaching into the oil pan, you want your oil to stop around here, the top hole. If you're way above that, you're way over, and it's not good for the engine. It actually can hurt the engine. So you want to keep it at the operating level, which is right here, or at least within this range. If it's at the bottom, you should add some oil because, if you drive a lot in 1 week, it'll burn some oil, and then you'll get below that, and then that's a little dangerous for the engine. You need plenty of oil for good oil pressure and lubricating and all that good stuff. Oil helps protect the engine, and it also helps cool it in some sense. So just keep it closer to the top dot. Let's put it in. All right, so we're gonna put our dipstick in the hole. All right, pop that O-ring down. Give it a second, and remember, we're at an angle. I'm at an angle, so my oil level is not going to be 100% accurate. All right, you want to be on level ground, or at least at a flat surface, to be able to check the oil level. It may be off about maybe a quarter of a quart or something small, like nothing too crazy, but you don't want to bank on the perfect reading. I would just add a little extra if you don't know, or in this case, it might not show enough. All right, so where we're at. Alright, so you see where it's wet? That's right where we want to be. I'll add a little bit more. You see how the shiny is right there? I want to be on the top dot. And that might be just the difference of going on a level surface, you know what I mean? Because we only got a little over a quart left. So we'll throw that little bit of a quart left and a little extra and call it a day. Because it's not going to kill it, but like I said, you burn oil about one quart about a month or a week, depending on how many miles you drive. So, yep, we got it just under the 1. And that looks good. So I'll leave that like that. When we get down, we'll check the oil level one more time. For now, that's good. I'm happy with that. Wipe the funnel down when you put it away, I guess. And then you want to snug this up. You don't need to crank on it with a wrench or pliers. Just use your fingers. And, just get a little snug, and that's it. Next, I'll be doing the spark plugs, and then I'll record that video as well. Now comes the moment of truth. You got your oil in, your drain plug's tight, your oil filter's tight. Now we turn the car on and verify to make sure there's no leaks. You don't want this thing leaking. Alright, so let's turn it on. Alright, so that oil light should go out. There you go. The maintenance light, that little wrench is just because there's a maintenance light. It measures like how long the oil changes go. There's a way to reset that. I actually got to look that up. I don't know off the top. But now we go under the car while it's on and park on the ramps and make sure there's no leaks. Go under there, make sure there's no oil dripping on the floor, make sure it's nice and dry. Yeah, and I'd say that's good. Everything's looking good. So now what we'll do is we'll take it off the ramps and check the oil level again, or just make sure it's at the top. And I'll drive it down, get it out the way, take it off the ramps. Alright, so I just shut the car off. Now when you shut the car off, see, I just pulled it off the ramps. You want to give it a couple minutes, let the oil settle, so you can check the dipstick again and make sure it's good. You know, because the oil splashes in the motor, and it won't give you a good reading because there'll be some oil up in the engine, like on the top of the head, because it circulates throughout the engine. You want all that oil to drain back down to the pan, give you a true reading of what level you're at. Because when it's running, it's moving oil, so you're not getting a good reading. And then the funny thing is, though, transmissions. So when you're draining your transmission, when you're checking the oil in your transmission, you leave that thing running, and you leave it in park, and then you check the dipstick for your transmission, and there'll be a similar dot or hash mark, just like how your engine oil dipstick has the two little holes. You want to make sure you're within the center of the range. And just so you know, the transmission's oil dipstick on the 2010 Honda Accord is right there. That little yellow ring right there. That thing, I'll show you that thing. It's a little hard to reach, but you pop that out and it looks like that. And then you got a little dipstick as well. You see that? And at the bottom, you have a very similar, you know, you see it says hot. That's when the transmission's on and running. It should be on that level of the dipstick. Actually, look at that. I just saw a little piece of metal on my dipstick. Scary. I'll take that off. It's not good. But at least now you know where the transmission oil dipstick is. Put that back in. I think if you hold it, let go, and then hold it again, it should reset it. There you go. Yep, I held it again, and that's it. So you cycle it to that oil life, you hold it, everything starts blinking, you let go, and then you hold it again, and then it goes to 100% because I just did my oil change, and that's it. Like I said, I cycled the key, and then now it says 100. I'm gonna turn my car on. And there you go. The little wrench went away, and my oil life is at 100%. Not sure how it measures that, but that's what it comes with. So now I'm at trip. I'll reset my trip too, since I'm starting from a fresh oil change. And I'll know, I like to do mine every 3,000 miles. Like I said, I run conventional oil, so at 129,000 flat, I'll just do it. I don't care about the extra 158. You know, the sooner the better, I guess. It's fresh oil, good filter. But that's it, y'all. Thanks for watching.